Hi, I'm Stephen Ham from Archery Supplies, and behind me is the Fivics order. Well, most of it's been unpacked because I wasn't fast enough because my staff have been unpacking it, but it was big. It was up here. It was up here, and some of it's down there, and some of it's down there, and some of it's been packed away. But it came in by sea, so I'm going to say that to start with. Right, so Fivics. Fivics for me has been a major success. Okay, it's been done great, and if I don't sell more Fivics than anyone else in the world, I would be very, very surprised. And I'm not saying that because I've got tags on myself. I just sell so much Fivics stuff. It's amazing. It's growing out of sight for me. I used to sell lots of win and win, and I still do sell win and win. I still sell a fair bit of win and win, but I'm going to say Fivics, the salespeople at Fivics, the owner of Fivics, like, it's been very, when I say very generous with me, I've been very, very happy with Fivics as far as he helps me out. First off, he did give me a bow, so I thank for that. And then he sponsored a local archer in my state, and I appreciate that. And when I say I appreciate it, it is a big thing for a company to back a local store and back an archer in that state. And why is it a big thing? Because what normally happens is the companies like Win and Win and Hoyt will sponsor one of the Olympians. So it could be that, like, we'll pick Ryan Tyack and we'll give him a bow. Okay, so Ryan gets 1 or 2 win and wins a year. Okay, and that's great. It's great for Ryan. Really, really good. And Ryan's a fantastic shooter, so I'm not taking anything away from Ryan. But for me and my company, as far as for me promoting Win and Win, it doesn't help me a lot. Okay, because the connection between Ryan and Win is between Ryan and Win. Okay, so as a result, I tend not to, and maybe wrongly, I tend not to use pictures of Ryan shooting, and I tend not to post Ryan's successes with Win and Win, even though I'm a huge Win and Win dealer. Okay, because even though I do have some connection with Ryan, there's not the connection with Ryan. Okay, if that makes any sense at all. So the connections between Ryan and Win, or it's between, some shooter and Hoyt. As a result, the local shop who's trying to sell the supplier is left out of the equation. So when Gold Tip said, look, I used to supply everyone Gold Tip in Australia, and I used to give Gold Tip away to people out of my own money. And then Gold Tip, Tim, comes along and says, like, we're going to give away Gold Tip in Australia. So then there's no connection between me and the Gold Tip shooters, and as a result, everyone just goes to Tim and goes, hey, can you give me some arrows? And Tim's like, yeah, sure. And then my sales in Gold Tip crash, like literally crash. I went from 250,000 a year in Gold Tip to less than 40, right? Fivics is now one of my major brands. So I can now do sales to show how much I'm selling per brand, and Fivics is one of my major brands. It's in my, I think, top 6. So when you look at all the brands in my store, the Chinese brands, your compound bow brands like PSC, Elite, Bowtech, Hoyt, Matthews, Fivics is bigger than lots of them. Okay, and it's amazing because all they do is target bows. So all they do is sell target recurves. And they're not particularly cheap. I'm not having a go at Fivics, but they're not like the $100 recurves that I sell heaps of. They're more elite, beginner level stuff. Really, really good stuff. So what Fivics do, and I'm going to say the owner, I said to the owner, look, I've got this shooter here who's really good. His name's Casey. Could you sponsor him? And Fivics go, yeah, we can. So they then gave him some gear, and then I can take pictures of Casey shooting. And it's good for me and good for my business because I can say, look, this is the amount of work this person puts in to be an elite archer. okay? And he's been recognized by the company, by Fivics, as a person who they look after, okay? But it's, when I say it's through me, it's connected to me, right? So there's some connection between Fivics, me, and the archer. So when he does stuff, when he goes to World Cups, and when he does, like when he shoots in the rain, it's a good thing. And for him, there's a connection between his success, Fivics' success, and my success. So when he shoots well, he goes, look, I really like the Fivics stuff. I really like the limbs. This is what I've found by doing this. This is good. And then other people may buy the product, okay? When you have the person set aside who's not related to the business, there's no connection, there's no drive in sales. So for me, Fivics has been huge. The sales, I shoot Fivics. I've had no limb failures with Fivics, and that's from bottom line to top line. No limb failures in 3 years. It's amazing. And then if I'm going to pick some other brands, you know, the limb failures, I saw one today on Facebook, and you know, the limbs was blowing up, and I'm like, I get about a 50% failure rate with that brand. Fivics, no failure rates. None. Nothing. It's been absolutely amazing for me. It's just, and my bow's strung all the time. So I have 2 bows strung all the time in my backyard. So you're not going to treat your bow worse than me. And I'm going to say, you know, like, it's strung all the time in the elements. I shoot every day, hundreds of arrows. And they're good. The limbs are all good. Never had a single issue with the Fivics, right? And the price point's very good. So Fivics limbs are cheaper than the other companies, and they're pretty good, okay? So what's happened, and this is like part of this shipment here, I want to keep costs down, right? So Fivics has got 2, when I say 2 companies, they have the Chinese company and the Korean company. And I find it very, very hard, because when I order stuff from Fivics, I don't know whether it's coming from China or from Korea. And Fivics would say, well, it's on the price list where it comes from. And I'm like, well, that's great. But I order thousands of products, and literally I'm like, and a lot of time Fivics don't have it in stock. So you order it and then they make it, okay? So this stuff comes from China. This is a limb. So it's a scatty limb. So this is a top of the line limb, and I'm going to give it to a local archer here, out of my pocket. I'm going to say the most talented archer, and we've got 2 very talented archers in our state, but one of the most talented archers I've ever seen. And it comes out of my pocket. Okay, so a set of $1,000 limbs for the archer comes out of my pocket, because I sell a lot of Fivics stuff, and it's good that Fivics is promoting the product. The archer likes Fivics. He only will shoot Fivics. And so I'm like, well, here's a set of limbs. The best limbs. You're shooting the best scores in Australia. So here's the best set of limbs for you to... And I'm not sure it'll make any difference at all to his scores. But it's the best limbs, and he trains very, very hard. But there's a connection there between me, Fivics, and the kid. Because when he makes the Olympics, he will still be shooting Fivics, I guess. I'll still be in business. And then it'll be like, well, I've seen this archer go from 1 step to the elite archer in Australia, and there's been the support the way through. Okay, so that's important to me, and hopefully it's important to him. And hopefully it's important to Fivics. So, because when it comes to costs, and you know, you're probably not wanting to hear this, for sponsorship, Fivics want to see sales for how much stuff they give away, right? They want to go, well, we're giving away a bow, and how much do we sell in that market? And if they can monitor it and go, look, we give away $1,000, $2,000, and we sell so much, well, that's probably okay. Stephen's probably doing a decent job of promoting our product in the Australian marketplace, okay? So this stuff came in by sea. The Chinese, so China does the top quality stuff. This is the expensive limbs. The reason they do the expensive limbs in China is because China is not subject to the same environmental standards as Korea. That's my understanding. So they can use different compounds in China than they can in Korea. That's my understanding. I don't know if it's from Fivics or Win and Win told me this, but the elite stuff is made in China and the cheaper stuff's made in China. So that's a bit weird. So with the Chinese with the Chinese Fivics shipment, this came in by sea. So it took 2 months to come in. So even though I would like to have his limbs in sooner, the cost of bringing this in by air was too much. So he had to wait. Okay. So, but the advantage of coming in by sea, and if I can bring it in, is I can bring in backpacks. So a backpack would be like, let's say 30 kilograms in cubic dimensions, because it only weighs 3 kilos, but cubic size is about 30 kilograms. It's about $10 a kilo to freight stuff in volume from overseas. So a backpack would be $300 freight. If I bring it in by sea, I'll get it in for about $40, $50 worth of freight. Okay, so that's why I want to bring in bulky stuff by sea, and I need to bring in large quantities of it to keep the price down. You can't just go, oh, bring this in by sea. Can't do that. You need to bring in volumes of it. So that's the Fivics stuff. It's been very successful for me. The top line Fivics stuff's been very successful. The bottom line Fivics stuff, like the Xenas, this shipment is filled with Xenas, hugely successful for me because they're lightweight. They're half the weight of a normal aluminium riser. The limbs are fiberglass foam limbs, so no issues with torquing and twisting and stuff. And they've had none in stock, so they've all been built, and I literally will have hundreds and hundreds of Fivics Xena risers in here and Fivics Xena limbs in here. So and there'll be velators and there'll be hopefully stabilizers and stuff like that in this shipment too. So I'm Stephen Hand from Archery Supplies. That's Fivics, and these limbs are going to a local archer this weekend who's shooting the Nationals, who will hopefully win the Nationals. So thanks for watching. Bye.